capacity to hear that Shem. And I think that's what Jesus was able to do with Mary, and she got it, as did the other inner disciples, Thomas, John, and they all did to varying degrees, but each one of us hears that in different depths, right? And that's what we have to do as a nation. We have to say no to the demonic thought forms, things like Brexit and militarism, and we need more nuclear weapons, and we need to bash all people from outside Britain. We need to stop immigrants, Oh, and we hate Muslims. Yeah, we hate Muslims. That's another demonic thought form, in my opinion, Islamophobia. If you study Islam, as I've done in great detail and depth, and done my commentary on the Quran, you realise Islam is just another attempt to hear that divine sound, that to go back to source. And they revere Christ in Islam. They revere, because Muhammad, although he wasn't a learned scholar, he was an intuitive genius, as Thomas Carlyle said. And he understood intuitively how to get to that name. It's called listen to my commentaries on the Quran. They're on my Global Green University website, and you'll hear my explanation of that Shekinah, that peace that descends in Islam. So yes, again, Islamophobia is a wrong demonic thought form, shared by all these warrior types, by the way, because it's so easy to whip up, hatred against the other if you demonize them, without realizing you're actually possessed by these demonic thought forms yourself. What we should do is love Islam, love Judaism, love Semitic people, love Indo-European people. Love should take over instead of these demonic thought forms. That, to me, was the true teaching of all the great masters of history, and of all the great masters of the present, and all the great masters and mistresses of the future. And this, to me, I want to kind of end with this image. This is an image of the University of Oxford's colleges. I used to teach at the University of Oxford. I love it. It's my other home. They want to, if they insist on me coming back and giving me a professorship of philosophy of peace, I would accept, possibly. You have to make a good offer. Anyway, Oxford, I love you. And this is the crests of all the University of Oxford, okay? Each college has its own crest. And so Balliol, has a particular, red and white form. Oriel has another. Nuffield College and so on. They're all there. Lady Margaret Hall, Corpus Christi and so on. They all have deep meaning. That's heraldry. It's a bit like the nations of Europe, say. Each nation has a flag, and in this room, Apollo, here at the museum, we have flags of many nations. I'd love every nation in the world. We probably don't have space, but we can put them out outside. So, every nation has a flag, just like the Oxford colleges. But behind them, there's a unity. Just as the University of Oxford has all its colleges, but then there's a unity called the University of Oxford, which they all belong to. And the same with Cambridge or London, where I was a student. We have the LSE, Imperial, University College, King's, etc. But there's this thing, the University of London, which is the federal body that oversees them all. The same with Oxford. The way I see the European Union is, it's not that we stop being separate nations and proud of our heritage and tradition. I love Britain. I'm a true patriot in the best sense of the word, I hope. But I also love France and Germany and Italy and Hungary and Greece, all of these nations, Spain, all the 27 nations of Europe. They all have their own flags. And I would say the European Union is just like the federal overseeing University of Oxford or London is to the separate colleges. So that it is possible to combine the autonomy of the college, which has its own quirks and traditions and even its own nomenclature, in different colleges at Oxford or Cambridge or London. And yet it has an overall legal oversight, the university authorities themselves. To me, that's what is best about the European Union. It's a brilliant system. It needs perfecting. Academics are always trying to tweak the way the University of Oxford deals with the federal oversight and how the colleges get autonomy. It's the same with London. They're always juggling and jostling. My job was to create a peace institute as one of the federal colleges of the University of London. I would still be delighted if a rich benefactor wants to make that possible. Please get in touch. I think London should have an Institute of Peace Studies as part of, its number of colleges. So to finish, how does this work then? Well, I think metaphysically it's to do with identity theory. I've said this before, but it's a point making again, that each college or each nation, each personality, if you want, separate identity, can be held within a larger sphere. So that, and you know that in your life you go through many changes. You start off as a young child and you have certain young childish type interests. When I was a kid, I used to love war games, used to play them endlessly. I grew out of it, and I went through a different phase. But all of these multi-dimensional identities are held, just as these different nations, within the cosmic intelligence of the mind of God, to use my kind of complex way of talking about this. And I'm coming back to Abelard here. How can you possibly reconcile the rationality of Aristotle with the mysticism of the Bible? It can be done. It has to be done. And it can be done through this question of multiple identities, that there isn't one window, that God is this ever-evolving multi-dimensional sphere of intelligence, best perhaps symbolized in the Tree of Life, the Sephiroth, and the traditions of Kabbalah. That's about multi-dimensionality, which is also cohering as one form. And that's why the language is so important, because each sound is like a different identity of that one cosmic intelligence. So Europe, why I love the European Union, is because we are that revolving Sephiroth of many shapes and colours, and everywhere from Spain and Portugal, which have their own uniqueness, way up to Estonia and the Baltic Sea and Sweden. They're all so different. Their colours are different. The clothes people wear are different. The colours of the sky are different. And yet the people are all one. We're all Europeans. We love each other and we love God. We love the ultimate source behind all the different nations. That's what I don't want my beloved country to lose, because I love the United Kingdom. It's a project, it's an experiment in multiplicity, in unity. And it would be so tragic to let these crazy warrior fanatic types, the Evola lineage, with its long sting in the tail, to come and get away with what they're doing. It's unbelievable. It's like a slow motion nightmare coup. Well, I'm calling it, guys. It's not good enough. I'll see you in Oxford. Come and study with me, Mr. Bannon. You did your speech to the Oxford Union, but they didn't ask you the right questions. It was absurd how easily you got away with that performance. Well, no, it's not good enough. Go back to school. Go back, do your philosophy degree, and I'll see you. When you can come and apologise for this ridiculous chaos you've unleashed in my country of the United Kingdom and in Europe. Okay, so I think I've done here. Happy Mary Magdalene's Day. Happy exorcism of all the demons. May you all find that inner peace. May July the 22nd bring you freedom from, the brokenness, the fracturedness of this confusing time we're living in. And please just find time to be still and silent and listen to that inner voice of the Shem. Thank you.